Hey guys, welcome back to ET Figure Unboxing, and in this video we're going to take a look at the S.H.Figuarts Vegeta 2.0. And I'm really glad that we're getting the new body for Vegeta, because I think the older one is going to look weird standing next to the new figures that's coming out, especially Nappa. And also, the older one had a lot of QC issues, especially the leg. It was just falling off left and right. But ironically, I heard there's a lot of QC issue for this figure as well. I'm not sure what's wrong with Vegeta, but a lot of people had paint issues. But from what I'm seeing over here, I don't see anything too noticeable. But I wouldn't know until I open this. I've heard some people have their face printed upside down or some bullshit, but here's the left of the box, here is the right of the box, and here's the back of the box. And that's not wasting any more time, and bust this thing open and see what we got. And here we have the figures still in there in the packaging, and it looks like none of my faces are upside down, so that's a good thing. But yeah, let's check out the figure itself. And here we have Vegeta right out of the box, and my first impression on this figure is actually pretty good. I think it looks really badass, and let's take a closer look at the figure. And I think the biggest problem with the QC is the paint bleeding over here. The glove is just bleeding a lot of white, and sometimes it can transfer onto the chest. And it's not as bad for me, but it's really bad for some people, so just keep that in mind. I know a lot of people also complain about this figure not having enough shading, but personally, I think it looks good enough, and I'm not going to complain. But based on my personal experience, the haters or the people who complain the most are the people who love the brand the most. So I'm not going to argue with them because they're awesome. But anyways, let's check out the articulation. And before we get into the articulation, the answer is yes, they're able to swap heads. I think they're using exactly the same mold. It's just a recolor. And for the articulation, let's quickly go over it from the neck down. But it's basically exactly the same as Super Saiyan Vegeta. He can look up about this much, can't really look down. You can turn his head, no problem. You can also move his neck as well. I think it's a ball joint in there. And the shoulder pad is just on a hinge, and you do have some butterfly shoulder along with the usual ball joint. You can raise his arm up about this much. You do have bicep swivel, curl about this much, and you do have the ball wrist. And for the ab crunch, you can bend forward about this much, backwards about this much, but you got to watch out for the gap. Have some side-to-side movement. And for the lower body, all this is on a hinge. And of course, you have the 2.0 hip. You can swivel over here, kick up about this high. I really would like this part to be a little bit more thin though in terms of the plastic, because I think it's a little bit hindering. Every time I move, I feel like I'm gonna scratch something. And you can bend about this much, a little bit of side-to-side pivot, and you do have the toe hinge as well. And for the tail over here, you can take this part like that, and just take this out, and then there you go. And yeah, I think that's it for the articulation, and let's get into the accessories. And for the accessories, we can start with the default face with Scouter, and it looks pretty good. And next up, we get a confident smirking expression. And next up, we get an angry teeth grinding expression, and it looks pretty good. But I do have some paint issues over here under the chin, and I gotta figure out how to clean that up. And lastly, we do get a shouting expression, and it looks pretty good. And then we do get another Scouter without any numbers and data on it, and I think this is really thoughtful. And we also get another interchangeable head where there's no hole for the Scouter, and I also find that very thoughtful. And let me just quickly show you the expressions without a Scouter. Happy, angry, furious. And next up, we do get a interchangeable tail, and it's just a ball peg, so we just like plug that in, and yeah, that's pretty cool. And for the interchangeable hands, we do get a hand with a crushed Scouter, and this is really, really cool. I love it. And next up, we do get a pair of key blasting hands, and these are really standard for Dragon Ball S.H.Figuarts, and it looks really good. And lastly, we have another pair of key blasting hands that is a little bit more grippy, and I believe that's it for the accessories, and let's jump straight into the size comparison. And for the size comparison, let us start with the S.H.Figuarts Dragon Ball figures, and I guess they look pretty good together, but at this point, I'm just waiting for Nappa, Yamcha, and Tien. And next up, we have the S.H.Figuarts Street Fighters and Mesco 112 Daredevil and Punisher. And next up, we have the S.H.Figuarts Naruto line, and I feel like Bandai should make a 2.0 Kakashi, because the variable action heroes are making a really good Kakashi, and I'm really jealous. And then we have some American IP S.H.Figuarts, some recent S.H.Figuarts Kamen Riders, and lastly, we have some recent Figma figures, and let's jump straight into the final thoughts. Oh yeah, before we get into the final thoughts, if you do have the Saiyan pot, he does fit in there, but due to the design on the armor, same with the previous one, it's not gonna fit too well when he's sitting. But you know, he fits in there, so I'm happy with it. And let's jump straight into the final thoughts. Alright, so for the final thoughts, despite how much I like Vegeta, I feel like the amount of excitement I get from this figure is decent at best. And don't get me wrong, I think this is a great figure. It's got a good amount of accessories, decent paintwork, great sculpt, but he feels too much like Super Saiyan Vegeta. And that's not necessarily a bad thing because we can use the same hands and, you know, swap the heads and stuff. But I'm kind of scared if they're going to do this for Majin Vegeta. Because arguably, well, not arguably, Majin Vegeta is Super Saiyan 2. So he's going to have more hair. And that needs a new sculpt. And if they're just going to put an M on his forehead, I'm not sure if I'm okay with that. But anyways, I think that's it from me. Do let me know in the comments on what you think. I hope you guys are doing great. And this is Eric. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace. Oh yeah, and don't forget to like and subscribe.